accountability, transparency, and probity. All because we want to build a progressive and prosperous state. All of these things will be hinged on a strong anti-corruption stance of a UDP government. There will be no tolerance for corruption, there will be no tolerance for tribalism, and there has to be a mindset change which is conducive to reforms. We don't have mindset changes, the reforms are not going to work. Transformational development, when we get out of here and people ask, what do you mean by transformational development? We'll say transformational development involves more than just economic growth. It is an approach to community welfare, which takes into account the spiritual, social, cultural, and economic well-being of citizens. It is holistic. You just don't zoom in and build hospitals and roads and zoom out. The community has to benefit from the development investments that are made. Therefore, the capable state is anchored on an effective, efficient, and equitable service delivery system. Once the contours of the capable state are laid, the final outcome of the implementation of the manifesto and the 5-point agenda is to essentially put the country on track for playing a developmental and transformative role in the lives of citizens. This will, of course, require the immersion of the public service and state-owned enterprises in the development agenda. They have to be immersed into how the party wants the government to run. They have to be immersed into the ideology of the party in the creation of a capable state. Now, this has to be done with limited political interference. Once the immersion is done, the decentralization of service delivery sets in. Now, if you look at what's been happening in the Mayor's Carnegie Municipal Council lately, that's when you realize that it's time for us to decentralize and put in place legal frameworks which empowers elected officials to carry on their elected duties without undue interference politically. We talked about how best to report development results in terms of the linkages between what is happening on the ground, how it is reported, and how to link it up with all the ministry websites and a website that would be created in the Office of the President, which is essentially a delivery unit. Now, those who keep pace on these developments will realize that the idea of a delivery unit was started by Tony Blair in the UK. Countries such as New Zealand, Australia, even the USA copied it. He designed delivery units in the centers of power, normally staffed by 3 individuals, an economist, a statistician, and a legal person. And they report directly to the president through a chain. Now, their job is to record the achievements of implementation. And ministries will be obliged to have a running, efficient, effective website which will be linked to this delivery unit. And in essence, if it is set up properly, the president can sit at his desk, look at the Ministry of Finance, what his commitments with them are, click on it, and see where finance is making progress or not making progress. And he can pick up the phone and say, Mr. Finance, you are not delivering on your commitment to me. Countries have done that. The best examples of countries who have done that are Singapore, Rwanda, Botswana, South Africa, and in the West Africa region, Ghana has just gotten one up and running where the president just can pick up the phone and call a minister and say, you are not delivering. So that the monitoring, evaluation, reporting aspect of implementation of the manifesto and the 5-point agenda, these are key. If we don't have a robust real-time monitoring, evaluation, reporting system, the president cannot go back to the people and say, I have delivered. In fact, the people will see that he hasn't been able to deliver. And of course, some presidents have used the monitoring evaluation framework to reshuffle cabinets and to also reshuffle permanent secretaries and state-owned enterprises because of lack of performance. When you are called in and you are told you are not performing, and these are the areas that you are not performing, it's very difficult to argue with that. So it's a very effective tool which empowers the president to do his job without too much paperwork. I am going to conclude by saying that, and I looked at this carefully. This is a quotation from the current Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres. Recently, he was on an international panel, and the panel was discussing corruption. And he basically said corruption is the ultimate betrayal of public trust. Corruption is the ultimate betrayal of public trust. I don't know, this is a very simple quotation, but it's hugely profound. Because basically it is saying they elect you, put you in government, trust you to take care of their welfare, and you corrupt yourself. This is what this quotation is all about. And before deciding to include this in my conclusion, I thought about Gambia as it is today. And I have realized that the Gambia has turned into a predatory state. Honestly, predatory state. We have predators running our government. And we all know what predators do. I don't need to give examples of predators. We know. I felt the Gambia has turned into a predatory state by tenderpreneurs, people who do business with government solely not because of knowledge, experience, but who you know and who you can corrupt to give you a tender. So those are the tenderpreneurs. And the state itself has been turned into a posture of tenderpreneurship. It's a tenderpreneurship state. And we have to draw the line somewhere in saying there is enough corruption, enough is enough, we need to clean house. And I think if you listen to the party leader, the various leaderships of the party, you realize that UDP is on the track of saying we'll have zero tolerance for corruption. And that is what is required for us to extricate ourselves from this predatory state situation that we are in. Now, for us to get out of that predatory state, there has to be very strong political will for the achievement of transformational development results. If the political will is not there, it's not going to happen. We've seen it in this current government. All the commitments made with the donors, with the people, with the coalition, have all been reneged on, simply because the political will is not there to deliver on what you commit to deliver. So in order for us to design a capable state, achieve transformational development results, have zero tolerance for corruption, zero tolerance for tribalism, and a push for a whole-scale mindset change in our people, we have to have that strong political will. And finally, the capable state is all about service delivery, decentralization, anti-corruption stance, transparency, and accountability. Basically, we need to have a paradigm shift in how we do business. And that paradigm shift has to allow us to adapt to the new structures that will be required for us to be a capable state. The rest is something that I came up with. I said, vote UDP. Can you put that thing up, please? I am a bit ahead, yes. Vote UDP. A vote for UDP is a vote for transformation. Now, I would like to end by saying I can't name all of the policy and strategy committee members. Some of them are here, others are not here. But honestly, I need to recognize them. These guys have put up with a lot of push from me, from my co-chair, to deliver, and to deliver on time, and they have. Let us recognize them and give them standing ovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the co-chair of the UDP Strategy and Policy Committee, Mr. Larry Sise, was at various times Gambian public servant. For many years, for 2.5 decades, he was servant of Kofi Annan, Ban Ki-moon, and very recently Antonio Guterres. He has served in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, and he retired from the UN system as a deputy resident representative of the UNDP. So he brings to this task a lot of experience, a lot of insight, and I'm not going to translate, but what he said really is what UDP stands for. The values of the United Democratic Party is to build a capable state, is to build a developmental state, a state that is capable of empowering its people, is capable of empowering its institutions to develop and deliver competent results for the citizens. This was a background look at the agenda. It's now my great pleasure and my great honor to invite Mrs. Olidiba Wada to dilate on the manifesto and the 5-point agenda. Her presentation may be more technical and may be more specific. We know after today we would be involved in a lot of retailing, a lot of explaining about our values, about our ideas for change and transformation. Mrs. Olidiba Wada, ma'am, you have the floor. Mrs. Olidiba Wada is the Deputy Senior Administrative Secretary of the United Democratic Party. Until her joining the United Democratic Party, she served as a leader at the African Development Bank. Her focus is on human capital development, and we are very pleased to have her as one of our formidable ladies in the United Democratic Party. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tal, for the introduction. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Hello? Your Excellency, Honorable Ousainou Darboe, Secretary General and Party Leader of the United Democratic Party. It's not working. Hello? No. Your Excellency, Honorable Ousainou Darboe, Secretary General and Party Leader of the United Democratic Party. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, UDP National Executive members, UDP Keba Kafos, Your Worship, the Lord Mayor, Kanifing Municipal Council, and the representative of the Mayoress, Banjul City Council, chairpersons of local government authorities, honorable members of Parliament, councillors, representatives of media fraternity, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Today is a huge milestone for us at the UDP as we unveil this baby that, as has been highlighted by Mr. Cisse and Mr. Tal, the baby that we have been nurturing for a couple of years to make sure we get it right. I want us to really to acknowledge that the success today has been a year of consultations, 2 years of consultations, teamwork, and we want to thank our dear compatriots in the UK, and in the diaspora, in the UK and the US in particular, for their unconditional support and contributions pro bono. So many Gambians who are not necessarily UDP members have also contributed towards this particular baby, this project. But they were rather sympathizers who were eager to contribute to the development of the Gambia. The Strategy and Policy Committee and the sector experts have been just fantastic. The UDP National Executive, who kept us on our feet constantly to ensure that the end product truly reflects Gambian realities. To all of them, we say thank you, Abaraka, Jerelen Jeff, for your support and guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, I will start by elaborating on who we are. One of the largest parties and most structured, largest political party in the Gambia, founded on the 23rd of August 1996. At that time, we won 31 votes out of 53 contested seats at the National Assembly in the parliamentary elections of 2017. We also control all but one of the 8 local government councils in the Gambia. And we represent all segments of the Gambian society and operate on an open door policy on membership. We have chapters across the globe, from the United Kingdom to Europe, the Middle East, Angola, the United States, and so on, and Africa. Why are we doing what we're doing? We are doing this because we have consulted, we have had conversations with deep communities, in deep rural communities, and they shared their needs, their wants, and what is important to them. So for us, we decided to take that on and do research as well and make contributions to get to where we are. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, today we are pleased to present two areas. One is on the 5-point agenda, and the other is to just touch on the different sectors that we have on the full manifesto. And as had been previously alluded to, the 5-point agenda comes out of those sectors that we are supporting. And we have about 20 sectors that we will look at, but the 5-point agenda would be the contractual commitment that a UDP government will give so that come 2026, we invite the media, we invite everyone here to hold us accountable whether we had actually said what we were going to do. So come 2026, Honorable Usainu Dabo will be able to say, we promised you this, and we have concluded on this, notwithstanding we have also worked on the other sectors. But if we want to promise that we are going to do all 20 sectors within 5 years, people should not take us seriously. And so that is why we say we will prioritize the human capital, because in order for us to grow, to continue to grow, we need to make sure that the human capital has all the requirements on skills necessary and everything else that is required for us to be able to implement what we want to implement. That is why we decided that instead of putting in infrastructure, we will focus on the environment, we will focus on education and skills, we will focus on the areas that will help to improve the quality of life of Gambians. So today, our 5-point agenda will deliberately and unapologetically focus on the human capital. Recently, we had heard in the news that the Gambia's poverty rate has increased by over, I think, 30%. That is a concern for us, which means a UDP government going in has a lot of cleaning up and that it will inherit. So our 5-point agenda focuses on youth employment and empowerment, education, skills and training, nutrition, agriculture and food security, public health security and social protection, digital and energy infrastructure. So under the 5-point agenda, under the youth employment and empowerment, a UDP government has committed to creating that conducive environment and setting the right framework. We have to understand that governments are not the ones that actually do the work. They create the environment. They have the political will to make things happen. Government has no business going into business. Rather, create it and invite the people to work with the private sector to ensure that we move ahead. So we want to ensure that we collaborate with the private sector and the youths to obtain the right skills and help them increase their employability and their business acumen. We will establish 10 specialized skill centers through the skills enhancement zones that we have as part of our plan. And we will provide facilities for trainers to enhance skills in technology, in sports, and entrepreneurship, and also soft skills. I think one of the key challenges we have here in this country is we were never taught soft skills in school. We were only taught to pass exams and get ready to move on. So a combination of the soft skills and the entrepreneurship skills, or whatever skills you have, will be fundamental for the Gambian youth in particular going forward. We also as I mentioned, we want to establish 10 specialized skills centers through skills enhancement zones. And we want to ensure that every single region in this country will have centers where skills training will happen there, where we will be able to zone different sectors, especially in agriculture, across these 7-8 regions. Of course, we already realize that in zoning, we already have these regions known for what they do. For example, the KM region focuses on the tourism industry. So we can, for example, zone KM as an industrial zone but on tourism. And then we know that in CRR, we have the Jahali Pachar, and we would bring that back to make sure that CRR would be for rice cultivation or whatever that it can accommodate in that region. And so we've zoned the Central River region as a center for rice. Anyone who wants to go buy, anyone who wants to go do business, anyone who wants to do farming, that area will be zoned. And then you have URR, for example, they invest a lot in cotton. So that would be the area that we will have an industrial area for cotton, for growing, planting cotton, and also for having fabrics made. And then in the North Bank, we will look at horticulture, and so on and so forth. So this is the thinking. But these areas are already, in the Western region, would be fisheries and the environment. So anybody who wants to do business in fishing, we will train you and zone, and you go towards that zone. Anybody who wants to go and buy fish, that's the place to go. So we make sure that each of these regions have centers, skills training centers, as well as industrial areas where we will produce the tomatoes, for example, into tomato paste or whatever we want to do. And start thinking about also exporting, even exporting our own rice. We are spending a lot of time importing rice into this country, which is the staple food. So these are some of the areas that we want to look at and having the specialized skills centers and the skills enhancement zones. We will establish a youth empowerment fund to help develop local commercial businesses, entities, especially to establish trade and commerce associations and arrangements with partners to create trading hubs for commodities in the country. We remember years ago, before I was born, that our grandfathers, great-grandfathers used to use river transport to go up provinces to trade. But today, we are not able to do that. We don't use our river transport productively. And we want to ensure that all these are taken into consideration going forward to ease traffic and so on. But when I get to the manifesto itself, I think the urban planning will help us to be able to talk more on that. We want to also promote and protect local enterprises and industries, as we have said. And we will provide investments in agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. And we will also provide opportunities for women, who are the main subscribers in the informal sector. So we want to really help these women set up and also start engaging in other skills areas and other areas for us entrepreneurs. Under the education and skills, so these are some of, I don't want to go into all of it because in the interest of time. Under education, skills, and training, what we want to do is to revisit the Gambian curriculum. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we are training our children to pass exams. We prepare them, we give them hope, they go all the way to university, they finish, and they cannot get a job. So the thinking is to help them with skills, entrepreneurship skills, and also training them in areas that resonate with Gambian realities. So we want to revisit the curriculum to ensure that it would be an education for Gambians by Gambians that resonates with Gambian realities. We plan to start entrepreneurship from kindergarten. We see in other countries where you have kids having lemonade stands and selling cookies and going around, and that already is creating an entrepreneurship mindset. But we want this for the youth, for the children, and we need to start with them at a very early age on skills, both hardcore skills, soft skills, and entrepreneurship, so that by the time they get to the end of their academic career, they can either be employers or employees, but at least they have a skill and they can set up their own business. So they have already been trained as entrepreneurs and they already have the skill sets, and they will have a youth development fund that already is helping to create that environment for our youths to thrive tomorrow. We also want to look at teacher professional development. There's a big challenge that we have in this country on teacher development, and this is one area that we want to do. We want to incentivize the teaching profession. When we were young, our teachers were like gods and goddesses to us. We looked up to them. They were the ones that would tell us what to do and what not to do. Today, teachers are not respected. Not many people want to go into the teaching profession for various reasons, and we have to make it attractive enough and help to develop them, have teacher mentors that would mentor them, and have an institution that we had Gambian College, and we used to have teacher trainers that go to the schools that were allocated. We want to revisit that because it helped us. What we also want to say that one of the things that we fell into the trap of development or growth was we were taught, in our minds, to go into jobs that you have to wear suit and tie and hold a briefcase and go into an air-conditioned office. That's not the reality anymore. That has changed, and we want Gambians to be more productive, more active, and to encourage them and create that environment for them. So we will look at the entire education curriculum and even the examination processes that we do. In the schools now, most of them are all teacher-centered, and we want to focus on learner-centered, where children are able to be exploratory, be curious, and come with an open mind. But we were taught under the teacher-learner process, and we want to shift that for the teachers to encourage. Not every child is cut out for the classroom. So we want to make sure that in whatever way, we really capture the strengths and the skills of these children, identify what special skills they have, help them to get that out and to grow in those areas. I think when their own passion or their skills becomes a job, it is a job, it doesn't become a job anymore, it just becomes part of your passion that you're doing, and that's what we want to encourage. From the COVID-19 pandemic, UDP learned that there is no perfect replacement for face-to-face delivery of education and training. We tried and tested a little bit of learning from the radios, from TVs during COVID lockdown. I think we need to do better and do more on that, because the way to go now is on technology. And so UDP wants the Gambia to be part of that ship that is crossing the Atlantic, to be part of that process of growth. We are also aware that the cost of education is a major barrier for many children and adolescents. We want to also commit to providing free education from early childhood, from basic education all the way to secondary education. And we want to look at where we can help. Often they say free education, but then the school comes back and say, but you need to buy uniform, but you need to buy books, but you need to buy chairs, you need to buy table. So investment in education, skills, training for our children, the future generation, and the present generation of youth, we have to make sure that we provide them with all the necessary requirements for them to grow as leaders in this country. These are, we have quite a lot of areas that we want to do, which includes coaching, mentoring, training. We want our youths to go into youth service schemes, National Youth Service Scheme. Every child, we will make sure that once they finish, that they are able to go and work, do some community work or whatever it is, but at least help to teach them to be more patriotic towards their country. So we want to look at that area of ensuring that we bring back to life the youth service scheme and make sure that it becomes mandatory for every child that finishes school and to prepare them for the world of work outside of the classroom. So in other areas, we have quite a lot of areas that we have focused on, especially on the skills development for the youth, so I don't want to go too much into that. The next area we have is nutrition, agriculture, and food security. We all know that agriculture is the bread and butter of this country, in essence, and tourism. And we know that we are not doing enough. We are not providing enough space for farmers. So we want to look at the entire comprehensive agriculture sector review, to looking at wastage. So when I was talking about the zones, we want to really have agricultural zones across the country. And in doing that, we will be able to support and get more youths and women going into agriculture, not for sustenance only, but also looking at agriculture as a business. As my former boss, the president of African Development Bank, he used to say, get them to be agripreneurs, so that they start looking at it as a business and engaging. And also the women who comprise majority of the informal sector, to help them in those areas, providing storage facilities for them, and also land and farming as amongst others. So we will look at the production and the value chain infrastructure and facilities of the agricultural sector as a whole, what really make it viable and encourage our youths to go into agriculture as a business. And then we have the agenda on the public health, security, and social protection. Need we say more on public health and the challenges that we have experienced with COVID? We were not ready. Nobody was ready. But we were even more affected as a result of our weak health infrastructure. It is a priority for UDP. The area that we have also on maternal mortality is a no compromise for us. It has to be a priority. We will invest and ensure that the youth, any child going to school, lactating and nursing mothers, and the elderly get free health care in this country. And we need to work on that. Apologies to the men, not that we don't think you are important, but if we do not get the women right and we do not get the youths right, we wouldn't be able to get you right. So we are hoping that those areas or those groups will help the men. Because if it's the other way around, you wouldn't get it. But a woman will say, let me add my husband in on it and go. The man will go and do on his own and expect the woman to go and do on his own. So that's why we decided to do that. But also knowing that the women in this country are the backbone of progress in this country. We at UDP, we've experienced that when most of all our leaders, male leaders, were incarcerated, and we saw the level of leadership within the party in their absence. They took the reins, they challenged the status quo, they went out there, did the Calamaro revolution. I didn't see any men in those videos, UDP men. I only saw the women. And the first time I had seen that, even before I joined UDP, I was like, digga. These people are the ones that make or break Gambia's economy. We will also want to ensure that our primary healthcare system across the country are refurbished and fully equipped. Gambia used to be one of the countries in this region that people used to come here for primary health care. We had that, we lost it, we are going to bring it back. We must develop the healthcare system and also have these hospitals renovated or rebuilt. I think Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital has done its quota. So trying to refurbish that area, I don't know what it would look like, but we really want to make sure we prioritize health. On the social protection, we know that our parents and our grandparents, once they finish employment, they do not have access to anything. Nobody takes care of them. The pensions that they receive is not even, at the end of the month, is not even enough to feed them for a day. So we must have social safety nets that we will provide for these groups, especially for the elderly, and also for mothers. Well, not necessarily a full welfare system, but we're able to help people live a life of dignity, even after they've finished work. We will also ensure that we have the energy and digital infrastructure. Everything that I have said before, if we do not look at the energy and digital infrastructure as a country, we will be left behind and we'll probably end up becoming a region. Because we need to make sure that we have energy, proper energy and infrastructure. Something must have gone wrong for every government to be here and not able to address the energy sector. So we will really revisit and make sure we look into these things, because we all know the cost. So most people now in this country are using solar panels or generators. And I think Gambians, again, need to have the quality of their lives improved. So, the M-Pesa program that they have in Kenya, we want to look at that. I know there's orange money, there are other areas, but we also want to look at having an e-government, a digital government, but to do that you need to have proper energy. The cost of internet services here is extremely, extremely high. There seems to be no control on the cost of internet for phones or anything. So we want to also regulate that, but make sure that we have that, because we want to focus on e-governance to avoid pilferages and to avoid corruption. And who is going to benefit from this? I think every Gambian will benefit directly or indirectly. But we will definitely make special emphasis on the youths, the young women and girls, and the nursing and lactating mothers. The information needed is on the website on how we are going to do it. I've given you some examples. We are working on the action plan for this, how we are going to do it, who is going to lead and by when. It's not ready, but we already have the manifesto ready. We need every Gambian to come on board and help us unite this country. The government cannot do it alone. The government does not create jobs. The government creates environment for job to prosper and grow. We want every Gambian to come on board to help us unite this country. The social fabric of this country has completely collapsed. Our culture is moving at another level, but we know that our culture is not static. So it will evolve. But I think we need to also bring the younger generation and the older generation to look at how we can modernize some of our cultures and still maintain them, because that is the identification that that we have as Gambians in here. So we want this mindset change, as Mr. Cisse has said, to shift from what's in it for me to how can we come together and help get Gambians out of poverty. Now coming to on the manifesto, we have about, as I mentioned, about 20 sector policies ranging from foreign affairs and diplomacy to devolution of powers and decentralization, infrastructure, sports, gender and women, urban planning development, natural resources and the environment, tourism and culture, security, amongst others. In the interest of time, I don't want to go into detail because we want people to get out of here on time to go to the mosques. But skills development and training will be really the emphasis on everything, because we have to help people go out of this current mindset of always fighting, always on the defensive, and we help our youths to become more patriotic ambassadors of this country. So we have the zoning of the regions and support to the informal sector to create entrepreneurs from as early as kindergarten, as I mentioned. So these are the areas. I invite you to visit our website where all the information that is needed on the manifesto you will find there. And as Mr. Jani will come, he will explain the website and all the information that people want to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Olidiba Wada, the Deputy Senior Administrative Secretary of the United Democratic Party. Thank you, Mr. Larry Sise, for the excellent work you have done in the name of the United Democratic Party. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, United Democratic Party, since the change of government, has been trying its best, not only to reform its processes and structures, but also to sketch a vision of transformation and change that will be part and parcel of the legacy of the founding fathers of this republic. In a democratic republic, it's important now and then to renew your strategies, to renew your approaches to the challenges that you face. In a word from the two presentations, we had the creation of a capable state when UDP is in government. We also had that empowerment is going to be the name of the game. Women empowerment, youth empowerment, institutional empowerment to deliver services. We know in the days and weeks ahead before December 4th, we have a lot of time and opportunity to explain in some detail. But in the first quarter of the 21st century, what we have witnessed is the tremendous transformation of our lives through the use of technology. You can learn online, you can do business online, you can do practically everything online. The World Wide Web, that is the biggest gift of the 21st century, is a place where you can put your ideas, you can communicate your vision, you can partner, you can network, you can do everything virtually. So therefore, UDP has built a modern website where constantly our message, the legacy of the struggle that we have been involved in for the last 22, 23 years, and our vision for a future prosperous Gambia will be showcased. Dr. Amadou Skatret Jane, himself a political leader of note, he served as a minister in the Jame government as information technology minister. He went out to fight for the disestablishment of the dictatorship. He was arrested and he was convicted for treason, and he spent some time in the famous Mile 2 prison, where his brothers and comrades also spend some time, that is the party leader and his brothers. So today, Dr. Jane is going to take us through the modern website of the United Democratic Party. And just to say, technology is here to stay, is here to make our lives better. Let us use it appropriately. Let us try as much as possible to use it for productive ends, because there is a tendency also that we are all unfortunately aware of, where because of the inexpensive nature of most of these technologies, people are employing it to promote division, they are employing it to insult others, they are employing it to really sow chaos in our communities. We can tell you here and now that the technology that we are going to be using is always going to be empowering Gambians, is always going to be in the aid of the development of the nation. Dr. Janek, can you please start your presentation? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Amadou Skater-Janek.
I'm extending greetings to all, and I have good news for you to begin this process. The good news is that the manifesto and all of the information you're getting here, you can download from our website. So we don't have to print the 50-page document for you to take. We're also conscious of our environment, and rather than printing 50-page documents for you to take around, all of these would be accessible through our website, udp.gm. It's live now, so if you have internet connection, I'm buying time because the control room is doing some settings, but at least I can tell you if you go to udp.gm, you'll be able to see the manifesto and all of the 17 areas that are covered, as well as the 5-point agenda. All of these you can find on the website. This website goes to show you that the United Democratic Party believes in transparency, open government, access to information, and we're showing you an example of that commitment now. E-government isn't going to be just mere talk for the UDP government. You heard Mrs. Diba-Wada talk about e-government. I know many of you have experienced going to government departments to fill out applications, and you are told they don't have forms, and you're being sent back. And with the hectic traffic we have, the time that it takes to go from one place to the other, all of these things would be eased if you're able to simply download forms, put applications online, get information about our laws. So these are things that a UDP government will do. Transparency, open government, access to information. But as the previous speakers mentioned, it took at least 2 years of hard work to come up with the manifesto and this 5-point agenda. And a lot of people were involved, experts. Some of them are not affiliated with the party, some are close allies, some members. And a few of them are here, some others are not able to make it, but I can point some. For the website, Karim Diba in the US played a crucial role in designing the website. Before I get into the stuff, at least give credit to the people. We're in the forefront, but we have a lot of help from people who simply volunteer. They use their time, their resources to make this process successful. And UDP is a very inclusive party. We encouraged people who had no ties to the party, who supported even other parties, to share their ideas on what we could do together to transform the Gambia. And other than Karim Diba, we have Bakari Jammeh here as well. There are many others, but Bakari Jammeh, other than spending a lot of time going through the material, offer the resources in so many ways to make this a successful thing. But we are very grateful to all of them. And okay, now it's on. I was buying time to get to the website here. As you could see, it's a whole new website, and it's going to be a dynamic website. We don't want the types of websites you see online here. Parties put up their websites and then, just visit them every 5 years to make adjustments. We have full-time volunteers who will be managing the websites to make sure that the information is correct, to make sure that updated information is put on the website. And through the website, you would learn the history of the party, what the party stands for, and current and upcoming events. You'd also be able to go to a section and see the party leadership from the National Executive, members of the National Assembly, all of you'd also get to learn you'd also know which chapters we have and the wings, youth wing, women's wing, etc. And we also plan to set up subdomains. That way, the Atlanta chapter would have UDP, atl.udp.gm, and UK would have uk.udp.gm. That way, we have a lot of coordination in the information we put out. We're able to share information on what's going on within the various chapters. So if there's a placeholder attached to your name there, that means we still need your photo. But over time, you'll be able to click on any of these photos and get detailed information, the CV, and what the party member, party executive is doing. So you'd get to know a whole lot about the party and its members. Let's go to the manifesto. Roll the thing down all the way to the manifesto, please. It's all the way. Go ahead. Okay. Go a little. Okay. So the manifesto, you can download a PDF version of the manifesto here, and it includes 17 areas. As we mentioned, the 5 priority areas are the priorities for the first 100 days of a UDP government. But you have other concerns that are addressed as well, and in very great detail. Environmental protection, fisheries, forestry, things like devolution. You had the example here, the KMC matter. Unless there's a decentralization, unless you have clearly drawn lines between what the central government can and cannot do, we'll continue to have problems. But all of these are addressed. Matters such as ICTs. You all know how expensive it is to make calls here in the Gambia. The internet services quality is very poor, and the cost is extremely high, very exorbitant. These have to be addressed. Pura isn't doing its job to make sure that we have better internet services and at affordable cost. These telecom companies are also not contributing. They are not doing a whole lot in terms of their corporate social responsibilities. Government has to step in to ensure that we have a better environment there. Pura is key in that. So unlike other parties that took a very short period to install or to establish their websites, we took time, we deliberated, we made sure we have information that we can hold on to. We made sure we have promises that we are able to keep, and that's what the website reflects. So you can go to udp.gm. You can also contribute in case you want to donate to the party in a very transparent manner. You can simply go click donate. I think that's a very important element, especially for those in the diaspora, to find a way to contribute to the party's resources through the website. And click on the, go to the home menu, please, home. Click the pull down menu, okay. Go on to chapters, the chapters. Click on chapters, please. Click on chapters. Okay, roll down. If it's slow, that goes to underscore the point about our internet service here. So don't worry, we have a listing of the various chapters in the diaspora. You have a listing of the various wings, and they will be given some autonomy to be able to post localized information. And you would also have a means of reaching party leadership, sending us your concerns and matters that should be addressed. So to save time, simply note the website, the domain address, udp.gm. Visit it, address any concerns to us, suggest any improvements. We are open to suggestions, and we'll make sure we keep it as a dynamic site, providing updates on a regular basis. And so I thank you so much, and we hope the website will be very useful to you. And download the information, because we can't print the 50-page manifesto. The manifesto, 5-point agenda, who's who in the UDP, history of the party, upcoming events. You can find all of that at udp.gm. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amadou Skatret-Jane, for that illuminating presentation. Technology definitely is the way to go. We will create a digital economy that will add value to the lives of Gambians, that would empower businesses and communities to be able to communicate instead of quarreling. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wolofs have a saying, Sabudu food bopam. It means simply that even a bar of soap needs some help to get itself clean. It is really very important today to recognize the founding fathers of the United Democratic Party, and to celebrate and recognize the outstanding leadership Alhaji Ousainou Darboe has been presenting to the Gambians and to the United Democratic Party since the founding of the party. He will be speaking next, and he will talk about his contract with the Gambian people. He will talk about a little bit of the history of the party. As usual, he would not talk about himself. He doesn't do that. So it is the responsibility of the coming generation to learn from his example. His example is that leadership is by action. If you go to his office, you see him only with beautiful women. You don't see him with any gentleman. He is committed to women empowerment. He insists every time that if there is a man talking, at least make sure there are two women also talking. So we have learned from him over the years that leadership is about a temperament. He has a first-class temperament. He has an even manner of speaking. He has kept faith with all his friends, even though some have not been as faithful as he has been. He has had quite a few betrayals, spectacular ones. And some of his colleagues that he has been making this journey with have answered the ultimate call. But here is a man who, through the ages, has stood for truth, has stood for justice, has stood for democracy, so that this country will move in the right direction. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and my proud honor to call on the next President of the Republic of the Gambia to officially launch the UDP Manifesto and fight for an agenda. Alhaji Ousainou Numukunda Dabo.
Thank you very much. You may resume your seats, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I watched my brother and friend Larry when he came to the podium with his gadget. And I also watched my niece, Uli Dibawada, also come here with her gadget. Those shows modernity. But I come here with my papers. But talking about technology, so I want to make sure that before we come in our e-government, I am also well trained in this area so that I will not be left behind. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, UDP National Executive Members, UDP Keba Kafo members, the Lord Mayor of Kanmin Municipal Council, and the Deputy Mayor and representative of the Mayoress of the City of Banjul, chairpersons of local government authorities, the majority leader and members of the National Assembly are present, councillors, the media fraternity, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good morning. I hope you are still in the morning, and welcome to the official launch of the United Democratic Party 2021 Manifesto, its 5-point agenda, and official website. Monday, 23rd August 2021, marked the 25th anniversary of the founding of the United Democratic Party. Advisedly, we choose today's occasion for the unveiling of our manifesto for the presidential elections, which is less than 100 days from today. This is a significant milestone in the history of our great party. It is therefore fitting to share the UDP story with the younger generation and first-time voters in the hope that our story will inspire them to consider service to the Gambia, our homeland, as the greatest act of patriotism. One of the first actions of the military junta following the coup d'etat of July 22, 1994, was to suspend all political activities in the country. Effectively, the suspension silenced the PPP, the NCP, GPP, and DOI, all political parties of the First Republic. The suspension of political activities left the AFPRC as the lone actor in the political arena until in or about August 1996. In 1996, the ban on the suspension of political activities was lifted. But this was followed by the banning of leaders of the First Republic politicians except DOI. And except DOI, the then existing political parties were all proscribed. The banned politicians and their proscribed parties were perceived to be the greatest threats to Yahya Jammeh's intended self-perpetuating rule. Negotiations for the formation of a new political party began in the middle of July 1996 and lasted for almost 6 weeks. The maiden meeting took place in the residence of Mr. Sidi Asanya of blessed memory. He later became the first senior administrative secretary of the party. This meeting was attended by representatives of the three parties, namely PPP, NCP, and GPP. And amongst those representatives, were Honorable Keba Tamba Jammeh, Mr. Sidi Asanya, Honorable Landin Jallo Sane, Alaj Jobu Kante, Alaj Ansunding Keta, Honorable Mbemba Tembedu, Mr. Femi Peters, and Alaj Ahmad Koro. The first meeting was on a Sunday and shrouded in great secrecy. This was despite the lifting of the ban on political activities, as it was still dangerous to openly show the soldiers turned politicians that there are people who were not prepared to toe their own lines. The maiden meeting led to a broad consensus for the creation of a strong political force to be composed of supporters of the three parties mentioned above. The resolution adopted at the maiden meeting to create a progressive democratic movement that all the three parties subscribed to was ratified by the executive members of the respective parties. That done, the way was clear for the next step, that is the identification of a leader of the party to be found. The search for a leader necessitated the drawing up of a list of potential candidates of 8 people. This list was debated and shortlisted down to 3. The first and second listed candidates declined to accept the proposal, and the choice now fell on the third listed, who was out of the country at the time. The rest, as he says, is history. But that third listed person was my humble self. Today, I stand here before you with mixed feelings, humility and gratitude for the honor and trust the founding fathers, and shall I say, mothers of the UDP bestowed on me to lead our people, to lead a prosperous and democratic republic. But on the other hand, I am filled with sadness and regrets that most of the people, among them Hassan Musa Kamara, Cherno Fofana, Alai Dembo Tunkara, Aja Mama Gado Sise, Alai Ansmana Diba, Sam Silla, Yaya Jallo, my first deputy, Sidi Asanya, Okuta Thomas, Christian Davis, Femi Peters, Alai Mustafa Diouf, Sanayeye Bojang, Maz Job, Honorable Keba Tamba Jammeh, Alai Landin Jallo Sane, Alai Ibrahim Pesenjai, Alai Landin Dado Jata, Moji Jallo, Alai Sa Alu Suleiman Jak, Alai Karamotori, Aji Jambandin Drame, Aji Fat Seka Sekom, Aji Anta Samba, Aja Horojak Nur, Aja Sajo Kunjan Sane, Brahma Drame, Aja Mamisar, Aja Kadi Mambre, Alai Karamo Fati, Alai Suntu Dabo, Aja Kunda Kamara, Ya Salim Makalo, Suleiman Nar Sonko, Honorable Abu Karamba Kasama, Honorable Basamora, Honorable Babandin Dafe, Solo Sandem, Solo Kuruma, Lam Marong, Singul Nyasi, Honorable Fakeba Skoli, Alhaji M. Indur, Fakaba Sane, Aja Nyahandao, Alhaji Ambasi, Jahir Suso, and Amadou Kule Seka Kaula Manso have not lived to see the silver jubilee of the mass movement they gave birth to 25 years ago. May I crave your indulgence, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to kindly stand up and offer a minute of silent prayer in their memory. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the circumstances leading to the founding of the UDP made it imperative that we must measure up, not only to the demands of a pluralistic political dispensation demanded by the 21st century, but must also accept that the old politics and dogmas of the past will no longer do. 21st century needs a new kind of politics and creates the environment for a high-energy democracy and a new tier of government that is value-adding and economically empowering. We are experiencing profound climatic changes threatening the life support systems of our planet. We are faced with a raging global pandemic that seems to mutate rapidly and is wreaking havoc on the unvaccinated. The 21st century needs a new kind of politics that creates the environment for a high-energy democracy and a new tier of government. It is within this dynamic context that I am presenting the UDP vision for the transformation of our nation. Transition our economy away from fossil energy to green and renewable energy sources. A couple of days ago, the newspapers reported that 30% or more Gambians have sunk deeper into poverty and are unable to have more than one meal a day. My question then is, what is the effect of this on the pregnant women and lactating mothers? And what about our children and youth who need healthy and nutritious diet to grow and mature into adults? Ladies and gentlemen, they are having a lot of work put into and debate on consideration and reconsideration of our manifesto, our 5-point agenda, and our website. There was excellent teamwork, consultations and verification to get to where we are today. I thank all the members of the UDP Strategy and Policy Committee and different sector committees for their tireless efforts. We are pleased to share with you the end product of their hard work and recommendations that have been put together by this said committee. These recommendations will ensure that government prioritizes human capital development, as this will help improve the quality of lives and livelihoods of Gambians. Our 5-point agenda focuses on key priorities that the UDP government will seriously address. It is a summary version of the various sector policies we have committed to in our manifesto on our website. We invited you all here to provide you with an opportunity to have first-hand knowledge of our ideas and ask questions about what UDP plans to offer Gambians. We will be more than pleased to respond to your questions. In the meantime, we take this opportunity to thank you for accepting our invitation to witness the unveiling of our UDP policies and to formally provide access to all the UDP websites. I want to acknowledge here the sacrifices made by Gambians in all walks of life for the past 25 years. The resilience, the commitment, and determination of the Gambian women have really sustained the United Democratic Party. It was the uneducated Gambian women that trod the roads from Brikama to Fatoto, from Pasamas to Bara. They were the people who stood up to tyranny, who stood up to dictatorship. As it has been alluded to by Oladipo Wada, the Kalama Revolution was spearheaded by the Gambian women. In the trials that we went through in this country, it was the Gambian women that filled the courtrooms. It was the Gambian women that really stood up and defied the dictatorship in this country. They showed their resilience, their determination, their commitment. And we believe that with the launching of our manifesto, of our 5-point agenda on the website, these Gambian women will continue to be the disciples, the apostles, that will go about spreading the message to ordinary people of the Gambians, so that the quagmire in which we find ourselves today, we can be rescued from it. I want to salute all Gambian women, irrespective of their political affiliation, but more so the United Democratic Party. Great women like Aja Jambanin Drame, who faced the paramilitary in Banjul, resisted them. Great women like Sajo Kunjansane, Aja Kunda Kamara. These were the women who really made sure that the UDP survived, and they will continue to give that needed support to us. I acknowledge your contribution and I acknowledge your support. All that you have done is for your country, and your country owes you gratitude. The United Democratic Party says to Ajiyam Seka, Ajamundao Yabo, and all the women of Gambia, we say the United Democratic Party is grateful to you. A grateful party and a grateful nation acknowledges you. Our youths have also provided the necessary support. In fact, they were the backbone, the engine, the driving force. Believing in believing in the values of UDP. We had them in Madiana, they are called the Madiana 14. We had them in Tanje. We had them at Chamway Bridge. These were the youths who stood by us. And unfortunately, one of them I mentioned just left us less than 10 days ago, the Honorable Fake Bakuli. To them, to the youth of the United Democratic Party, we say the nation, the Gambian nation is grateful to you. And we believe that the younger generations of this nation will follow the history of the United Democratic Party and emulate what these people have done for their country in the past 25 years. We came across thorny paths, steep hills, muddy waters, but we pushed on, and we pushed on because you were there, and we thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, it gives me a great pleasure to officially launch the UDP Manifesto, the UDP 5-point agenda, and the UDP website. I wish you all a happy anniversary. This 25th year will really show, this 25th year of UDP's existence will really show that in the next 6 months, in the next 6 years, actual transition will commence in this country. Transition to better democratic rule, a transition that will be ushered in the constitution of the constitution that was rejected by people who never believe in the values of democracy. I thank you all.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those very stirring, very inspiring words. We keep our faith in the Gambian people. We keep our faith in Gambian women. We renew our faith in the youth of this country. We hear you loud and clear, Gambia lawyer Ba. We know your brothers are in heaven smiling down on you. This struggle continues. Change will come to Gambia on 4th December 2021. Throughout this ceremony, what we have been trying to do is to introduce you to a new way of looking at political process in the Gambia. We believe that there is need for renewal of our politics. We need a politics of purpose. We need servant leaders, leaders who are willing to lay down their life for their country. Time and again, the United Democratic Party has done this. It has inquired about the orphan left in Bafuloto. It has found out about the disabled person in Basse. It has looked at the plight of our working women. These 5-point agendas, the manifesto for 2021, is clearly in a class of its own. But we are not just saying this, we are not just claiming it. We want to be held accountable to it. Mrs. Debawada has explained that in 2026, the nation, particularly the media, will have the opportunity to question Mr. Dabo on what has been delivered as far as his vision for the transformation of Gambia is concerned. But even before 2026, we now have the pleasure to invite the media to ask some questions before calling on Honorable Yakumba Jaite, one of the leading lights of the new generation of leaders of UDP, to give the vote of thanks for this occasion. But before then, we have the Q&A. Our experts are here. The party leader is here. I am here to answer some of your questions to start this year's celebration of our Silver Jubilee. We hope that by the end of the celebrations of the Silver Jubilee, the UDP story would be heard, as you have heard it, just a snippet of it from the party leader, about the days of struggle, the dark days of despair in this land, and the hope that brighter and golden days are ahead for this Gambia. So the new Gambia is yet to be. The beautiful Gambia is yet to be born. So ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is your opportunity to quiz us, to query any part of our 5-point agenda. Of course, you may not have specific direct questions, but generally, we are now ready to ask, we are now ready for you to ask your questions, and we will be very happy to reply to your questions. So I don't know.
There's a second mic here. Anybody who needs a mic, you can take it.
Yeah, where is the Youth Secretary General, Mr. Kemo Bojang? There is a second mic. Can you help the media access this? Yeah, second mic is, yes, I think there is somebody on that side, yeah. Please tell us the media you are coming from and your name, please.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I am Usman Sedikan from Gainago Online News. Okay, I have 2 questions. The first one is on human rights and transformative reforms. Can you clearly articulate UDP's position on Trrc's recommendation that is supposed to be out in September, at the end of September? Because we have seen APRC call it a tissue paper that needs to be pinned. So what is your stand on that? And the second one, sorry. Oh, should I wait?
No, please, please.
Okay, the second question is, the first speaker elaborated on corruption, but I've not seen corruption on your 5-point agenda. Will UDP government come with or establish a corruption commission, anti-corruption commission, to make sure that we have a corruption-free country in this country? Yes. Those are the questions, and thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. Should we start with the former finance minister, or should we start only exclusively with the Secretary General and party leader? Yes, I think party leader can speak from the days.
I will address specifically your first question. What is one party calls tissue paper. Well, I believe we ought to wait and see what recommendations the TRRC makes. But our history shows that the United Democratic Party is committed to protecting the rights of individuals. I have personally been involved in challenging governments, both in the First Republic and in the Second Republic, that tend to act in excess of their powers and trampling on the rights of individuals. I have done it, taking as part of my responsibility to defend those people and to enforce their rights. We have always been friends of constitutionalism and the Constitution. Any recommendation that is geared towards protecting rights of individuals in this country, the UDP government will be the strongest partner with any institution that makes such recommendation. We'll make sure that any recommendations coming out of the Trrc, if we are in government, and I think we'll be in government, we'll implement them. Otherwise, no one will take serious decisions of government in setting up commissions of inquiry, because you set these commissions of inquiry for a purpose. And when the recommendations come out, I believe that the government, even though there are recommendations, the government should, if not legally, but morally obliged to implement them. So, for your question, Trrc recommendations, a UDP government will certainly enforce them to the letter. And we are not going to be really fencing about issues because it is politically expedient to do so. We are not going to do that. If the recommendations come out, we will definitely enforce them. And if you have legal obstacles in enforcing them, we will ask experts in other places, or legal experts, to help us circumvent those legal obstacles. And when I talk of legal obstacles, I'm talking about jurisdictional issues, like places of trial and so forth. We will ask others to give us guidance on that. And I want to echo here, and in utter agreement with the former Attorney General, Mr. Tambedu, when he says that corporates will be prosecuted. Whoever is out of the country, and if you step your foot in here, if we are in government, we'll certainly prosecute you. And I say this statement, I make this, I cannot be bothered if anybody denies me a vote, because these are principles that we believe.
This is the same which I've observed with a number of points, except on the 10 specialized skills sets. And this has been also repeated in Agenda Point 1 and Agenda Point 2. So my question is this: will the UDP government commit to the number of jobs it will create so that we can see that your agenda points are measured? And what's this? Measurable agenda points. How many jobs for that? Then my second question is: the party leader, Honorable Srindawa, willing and ready to debate other party leaders so Gambians can make an informed decision in the run-up to the December 2021 elections? And if this does happen, it will certainly be a historic moment for Gambian politics.
I'm the UDP spokesman. I will speak for the party. The party leader will debate any formal process that is put in place. But if you ask Muhammad Ali to come and to box with Taylor, you are asking the wrong person. Hussein Dabo was the former vice president of the Gambia. He was for the 2021 presidency. The most important debate we would want to have is with President Adam Obama. Now, we have heard about debates in the Gambia, and it's not very difficult to win debates, be able to have punchlines, sound bites. It's very easy to do that. We can do that even in our speech. The United Democratic Party is calling for a wholesale transformation of become an exercise in just who can speak English better than the other. And I don't think any Gambian seriously doubts the ability of the deputy doyen of the bar to debate not only Gambia but anybody in the world. But I think you have asked a more fundamental question, and I will also try to respond to that. The co-chair's idea. Giving specific numbers of jobs to be created, I think is one foolhardy, because you don't know as we speak what resources are available within the government. So it is on the day that you start down and you are briefed by the technical experts, what are the low-hanging fruits first? What are the opportunities that immediately you can actually act that create employment? I don't know whether you have been following the UDP story. Last year, the party leader made a declaration on the Founders Day, 23rd of August 2020, that UDP between now and the next population census will plant 2 million trees all over the Gambia, representing 1 tree for 1 Gambia. That exercise alone, we believe, can generate at least 20,000 jobs for Gambians across the whole ecosystem adaptation projects and programs. We hear them, we see them. Banjul is planting coconut trees. I don't know whether you have checked this out, that one coconut seedling costs $300. We can mobilize a youth force, a youth company. We just need preparing seedlings so that this target, 2 million. So
So, I mean, this presentation is to give you a broad scope of our vision as a plan. We are a modernized, full
there are low-hanging fruits and productive and fulfilling jobs could be created. So numbers we will be able to give to the media within the first 100 days. I believe Mr. Sise and Mrs. Dibawada have explained that point, that we will have a delivery unit that can measure these pledges. They are measurable, they have been costed, but you cannot do that just grabbing in them from the air. We also want to introduce this idea of reinventing government. Reinventing government in the sense that government never has money. It's actually the people, through their taxes, that give government money. Once that money is collected by government, whether it's through GRA or through other mechanisms, that money should be invested. We should not be just a consuming economy. The economic life of a nation depends on investment. You heard the party leader say that we are transitioning away from a fossil fuel economy. Renewable energy, green energy sources, these are all opportunities to create employment, and they are going to be in the thousands. So to answer this question precisely, our manifesto has gone into a lot of detail to find out where are these low-hanging fruits. Because if you want to green Gambia, you probably would not need a lot of development assistance, but you will be in a position to do it, within your own resources. Fundamentally, we must learn to live within our means. If you have that kind of government, investment and development of an economy would be relatively easy. So I hope this has answered your question. Yes. Kamarabako.
Assalamu alaikum. Ndewode be nyininkaro kela mandinka kawana kadu na piaro nene ofonyele ko na party leader nyininka ni mandinka kawana wale be bedel. Kumata bake pour ka sanyi mwani lulo jura. Adu sanyi mwani lulo kum party leader ya funya na kole atale amankino sone ya kono. Ani hani kanye lunsi faso do ufana man sone ya bar alhamdulillah. Bar party leader ila pati yo dingolu war bankol dingolu late ila kuma kawlale bi membe be fo kanjang na angale kamballo ila wo chairmano muya lonko ni tatante la fatoto ni tata bafuloto aniyo chawu manon ano funding kol milano ko jama e be la pati yo to e mankara wol be fanje la nyin kono nyaadi le kadu jama e ka fole karal nal nata le kan kudeta wodo wo fo ila chairmano le frasi koyko i dabi je le fo datigi.
Kamaraba ini mbara ngalong loya babu jawi la nyinin karoto.
Kamaraba men foto nyalong kachal men kata janta be kata angale kanalto bare wakachal kono manye tandi musole long lo nya menke UDP ani funding kewlo adon nganya fakawa ko nye musolu nye lebitala kunu iteletata pi fanang sinin itelefana bitala banko bekan kafo banko dingle UDP la lonkan momenti adu UDP la lonkan be kelementi ngol le fajanto do bankanto ibitale banda itel nim funding ko bi mbato nyame ko bi ko te ano nyame kantora timo le bijeto dañu 5-point agenda ni iba fo kamole jeto kad molle tarta molle bo timo ko no mel tarta ni strategy committee ni to na manifesto iba fo le evite même fono le wala website ko nyinde ba même ko mayada 5-point agenda nyan manifesto ni bi iba fo kanne wato wati janim bi be sila fanan wa nga nyin lo na ka ko nyimbekala bi ni na kachal kono nka fo moliye même na 5-point agenda ti kombe nyindi nyine kala jata kende abundala londo bundala banko la fanko bundala so nyamu ko ultima ala ka ko ni bere ba kono adum be continuer la fanan ka akumolo kesen yandi modie me jakal ko soto damen ne ni karol ke ila jakalo ni sabo no nyoto bara manke ni ka ko ni ka ko tel tan patio nyinte tel mo dan tan le bijanto adu mo dan tan lo manke ka ko be idea ni ku ngani ba awaf kan wala ma ni ko marchandise no manke ka ko ba awaf kan ba la melma wala mo ni muske bal melma ko be sanyang ibe kunjur ibe felen koto ibe karawan sambasira ba wafila wala ma adum ba wafila men kan nenda wala ikakan melfo bandika kan surwa kan fula kan jola kan serere kan ani sara kula kan so ite la koma ite tuna la koma kadi ko ni ko bet la koma wato antel la tro janta man nafa soto I hope no la ngela jarulo ken
jërëjëf secretary general party leader laajte bi mooy woon rek ne tey waxtaan bi ñu ngi ko defoon ci angale angale yu ñu fi wax angale yu takku lañ angale yu rëy lañ waaye ndax waa UDP doomi UDP ñi nga xam ne du ñoo làkk angale dinañ dégga li party leader bi wax party leader bi tontu nag ci soose ne dégga la li jotaay la boo xam ne dañ ko taxawaloon tey pour màggal bési juddu parti bi ak wone suñ manifesto pour 2021 wone tamit suñ 5-point agenda bi dafa mel ni da nga am marchandise su fekkee yaa ngi ko bëgg a jaay waa Talkunda li waa Talkunda di laaka loolu nga ko wone ñu ngi amoon ay diplomate su ñëwoon waaye fu mu nekk waxtu bi fu mu nekk moom macha allah dafa jeex sax moo tax na laajte yi duñ mun a continuer waat Mr Tombong Sedi suñ foreign affairs secretary bi mu ngi ma woon ne ma time bi jeex na moom gan yi invite on ñooñu ñu ngi nii di dem doxali yeneen soxla waaye li parti leader wax mooy rek ci gàttal ne am na suñ team ñoom administrative secretary bi ak campaign manager bi ak yeneen ndawi UDP ñu nga ba Kantora tey seen waxtaan dem na ñëw na affaire yi manifesto bi la affaire yi 5-point agenda bi la ak suñ Silver Jubilee anniversary bi moom parti leader bi li mu wax li ci gën a am maanaam mooy ne jigéeni Gambia amal na leen njukkal sargal na fi suñ national president bi Aji Yaamu Ndaw Jeyaabo sargal na tamit deputy party leader and deputy secretary general Aji Mariam Baboucar Seka wone na ne jigéeni Gambia ak ndawi Gambia ñoom ñoo tax démocratie dellu siwaat Gambia ñoom ñoo xeex ci Kalama révolution bi ñoom ñoo def njàmbaar yaa boo xam ne àddinaan koo wax ba tey kon suñu mbokk yi ak suñu xarit yi ak suñu naataango yi fi teew ñu ngi leen a jaajëfal ñu ngi leen a gërëm di leen santa ci seen teewaay di leen wax ne suñ programme bi li ci des mooy Ajaratu Yakumba Jaiteh mu ñëw gërëm leen sant leen bu baax ci turi secretary general ak party leader bi Alaaji Ousseynou Dabo ak executive am bi di jërëjëf di jaajëfal tamit suñ co-chairs yi Mrs Olidiba Wada ak Mr Larry Cissé ci liggéey wu rafet buñ fi def baɗigol Yakumba Jaiteh le kana UDP la ayon leydi kana faali alimbara ala baraka. Honorable Yakumba Jaiteh, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Party Leader, Honorable Ousseynou Dabo, United Democratic Party executives, members of the Diplomatic Corps, all protocols duly and respectfully observed. I have the honor and privilege to give the vote of thanks, but I think Almami just did that with his conclusion. To the Gambia, my beloved country, this is it. This is the United Democratic Party. Today, we have the opportunity to present to you our agenda, our manifesto. We are doing this truthfully, no fake promises. We're doing this truthfully. I like the answer Almami gave to Mr. Fleck's question about the number of jobs we are going to create. We are not going to say 100,000 jobs. We are not going to say 200,000. We are not going to promise you a creation of a sovereign wealth fund. What we are going to do is going to be based on truth. It's going to be based on policy, law, and strategy. We are going to do this in all honesty, and we guarantee you transparency and accountability. This is what we are going to do. This country needs a system change, and UDP is going to build this system. We are ready, we are committed. And this is an example. I present to you, we are going to do this. I present to you our most trusted leader, Honorable Usainu Dabo. With everything they say, and I repeat an emphasis added to this, with everything they say to him and the United Democratic Party, one thing you do not hear is Usainu Dabo is corrupt. And I think this is the most important thing. Because if you say it's about tribalism, it's very hard to prove this. If you accuse someone, though, of corruption, you have to bring out the evidence. And there is no evidence in existence of these gentlemen being corrupt. And I think that's the foundation of everything. The United Democratic Party, in delivering these promises, first, we are going to curb corruption in this country. This is one thing we are going to do. We are going to invest in our youth and our women. This is the plan. And we are going to achieve this because we have the capacity in the United Democratic Party. Because we have the integrity in the United Democratic Party, and because of this integrity, we are going to create bankable projects, and the Diplomatic Corps is here, and these projects will be sponsored. We are going to maximize our resources by curbing corruption and using these monies to invest in our youth, invest in our agriculture to create the jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United Democratic Party. To the vote of thanks, I would give equal thank yous, starting from His Excellency, President-in-Waiting Usainu Dabo. He would have the same thank you to the last man in Koina watching us. Equal thank yous to everyone who has supported this process, to everyone, those who are here, those that lost their lives in the fight, we remember them. Equal thank yous to each and every one. Equal thank yous to each and every Gambian. We appreciate your support, and we promise we are going to deliver. Thank you.
Well, I try to do what Usainu Dabo does, to try to do everybody's job and so everybody's work, you know. Yakumba Jaite, the one and only Yakumba Jaite. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming today. We are very grateful for the time you've spared with us today. Now we have the pleasure to call off and conclude this session for a group family picture. Kemo Bojang is saying that we should have a family picture outside in front of the Sadauda Jawara International Convention Center. Thank you very much. Yeah? What?
Good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon to all the viewers over there. We would like to say thank you for watching iAfrica TV live at Sadauda Karaba Jawara Conference Hall, whereby we attend a special program of UDP, United Democratic Party, for their 25th this is their launching of their manifesto. As you can see, a party cannot go without a manifesto. So we would like to have some interview with some of the I can see Honorable Mr. Yankuba Dabo is here. We'd like to have maybe 2 words with Yankuba. Good afternoon, Yankuba.
Good afternoon.
Yankuba, how are you?
I'm okay. Yes, so the 5 points are mainly youth empowerment. We have education, we have ICT, we have agriculture, food and nutrition, and then the 5th one, I have to go back onto these things. So we have health. These are very important things for the country and moving this country forward. And these are the reason. This is probably one of the reasons why they are central to the agenda of the United Democratic Party, moving forward, moving this country forward. We believe that we have to tackle those issues. Youth unemployment is a massive issue, challenge for this country. We have a lot of our youths coming from school, graduating from university, and not able to get employment in the country. This is a huge challenge. We also have maternal morbidity and maternal mortality. This is also a huge issue in terms of health. That is a big challenge that we have as a country. We have a lot of our women losing their lives in labor, which is something that should be history to the country, but it's happening on a daily basis, and it's quite scary for a lot of people, and that is something that the government, UDP government, is saying we're going to tackle head on, and that's an important thing.
I know. Actually, when you talk about youth, you talk about the health condition. Those are the two main, each ones in the Gambia right now as we are suffering. And then the third one maybe could be agriculture. You understand? Yeah. And then, but just know what is going to be the percentage of UDP's government tax in those things you mentioned, like agriculture.
So already agriculture, we've made a commitment to dedicate or commit 10% of the national budget to agriculture. This is in line with the Maputo Declaration. That is, the government will dedicate, for example, the current budget is about 30 billion. So when you look at 30 billion, the current allocation for agriculture is only 400 million. We are saying 10% of that budget should be dedicated to agriculture. That means 3 billion of it would be dedicated to agriculture. We believe that will go on to help the farmers in terms of procuring seeds, in terms of getting seeds, in terms of getting fertilizer, in terms of and help them with regards to their productivity. And that would also help them in the production of food. And if we have much food produced in the country, that means food insufficiency would be something of the past, because there will be enough food in the market that which people will be able to buy. And when there is enough food in the market, then the price of the food will go down as well. So when it comes to youth employment, we talk about a fund that with the commitment is that we are going to create youth enterprise fund, and there will be a lot of money dedicated or committed to that which will enable the youths to have access. You have a lot of youths that have a lot of ideas, but the problem is funding. You cannot go to the bank to get loan from the bank. If you go there, they will ask for collateral. Many of these youths have no compound, they have no land to put as collateral, and they cannot use their family compounds for collateral. It's very difficult because that is not something that you own individually. You share with ownership with the rest of your father's children or your siblings. It's very difficult for you to be able to tender that as a collateral in any bank. That makes funding very difficult, and if there is no funding, they are not able to realize their dreams and hopes and ideas that they have. So we are saying Youth Enterprise Fund will go on to answer that. It will make it easier for them to have access to funding, to be able to realize the dreams and ideas, provided that those dreams are something that which one can have hope in. If one invests in it, there will be a benefit for everyone. Yes.
Thank you very much, Yanks.
No problem.
Thank you. That was Yankuba Dabo. That was Yankuba Dabo.
Just heard from the UDP leadership with regards to their manifesto and also the 5 point. Of course, we have very beautiful points that they got there, and also as you can see, we have the United Democratic Party leader and some of the executive members here on the high table. Of course, they gave their remarks and also talked on the 5 points that they have when they come into power. And we can just
made in manifestos and on campaign trail is all dependent on one's political will, your sincerity and honesty. We have been in this for 25 years. 25 years, I mean, that's a quarter of a century, you know, and we have been very consistent in our pronouncement, and we have been very consistent in our pursuit for realization of what is contained in our manifesto. So you can be sure that when we are voted in, we'll certainly implement what is contained in our manifesto, and that is why we have isolated and identified 5 key areas, because it makes no sense for you to go to the Gambian people and promise them 20 things, 35 things, and you are unable to deliver even on one of them. So we want to make sure that by 2026, you would have delivered on these 5 points, and then you have had that solid foundation, and whatever happens after that will just be building and improving on that, and then we go to other areas also.
So we are heading to the December 4th presidential election, and of course you're going to be one of the candidates. As a party leader, we've seen a lot of violence, comments on social media and all that. What would you say to your party supporters and also the entire country as Gambia?
Well, since 1996, I have been advising my supporters to be law-abiding. And to be law-abiding is to avoid anything that will cause problems in the country, that will cause breach of the peace. Insults, in my view, are a recipe for violence. And since 1996, we have been very consistent in that our supporters must really respect the law and also must respect dissenting views. And this is accepted, is embraced by our supporters.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
So those are remarks from the UDP party leader and, of course, Secretary General. We'll cut the coattail here for now. We'll go outside and see what is actually happening there. Until we come your way again, this has been Tejalo, right here at the International Conference.